Hello, everyone. This is Dr. George Gonzalez, and I'm here with a new friend, Sara Banta of Accelerated Health Products. Thank you so much for being here, Sarah.
I'm super excited too, and I just think we have so many synergies between the work you do and the work I do.
Absolutely excited to share you with our community and to let people know about your amazing product line and your podcast that is so informative. I try to learn as much as I can from you. You have such an amazing insight from helping people with severe conditions using your nutrition, which has some unique aspects to it. And why don't you just start telling us about yourself and your product line and how you got started?
Well, how I got started, oh my goodness, if you told me when I was in high school that I'd be podcasting, I was very shy. I would have said no way. If you told me that I was going to be in a health industry and own my own business, no way. I thought I was going to be in real estate or being a stockbroker or the typical business that people do back then. That's where I was headed. And along the way, I just knew my body wasn't working for me. I was fighting it. I was a type A personality. I was an athlete. I was a straight A student, but I worked really hard for all of it. And I was working way too hard for what I was getting out of it. And it really showed up when I was had my children, because every time you're pregnant, those little babies suck the life out of you and support them versus you. And I hit my rock bottom in my 20s. I had Crohn's disease, IBS, PCOS, heavy metal toxicity. My hair was falling out. I had parasites and all of those fun things. PCOS, had a hard time getting pregnant. So you name it, I had it. I didn't want to go out to dinner because every time I took the first bite of food, my stomach hurt. So lots of issues and went to GI doctors. They put tubes up me, down me, and around me and said, "Oh, you've got IBS, go take some Metamucil." And I thought, okay, I've already tried that. It didn't work. So that's when I met my now mentor and formulator, and he was using a skio machine based on scalar frequency. And my first appointment, he scans my body and it scans over 10,000 things going on. And when he was telling me what was going on in my body, I started crying because finally someone understood what was going on and what I was feeling. He said, "How did you even get to my office? You have zero energy. Your food is rotting in your stomach and your hormones are out of whack." And he said, "We're going to fix your foundation first, and then we'll fix your mental health." Because everyone in my life was like, "Oh, you need Prozac, you're depressed." I'm like, I know I'm not depressed. I know I'm not a depressed person. I'm just working way too hard and I'm not getting energy to my brain or any other part of my body. So at that time, I was a mom of three young kids, and that will take it out of you at the onset. So as I was peeling the onion, as I call it, with my own health, taking one layer off and new things would show up. My eldest was 9 years old, and he went from being the most active boy, like a typical 9-year-old boy, to grades dropping in school, not wanting to go to practice, and not feeling well and having horrific headaches. And so we scanned him, and my practitioner said, "I want him to go get a live blood cell test, and I also want him to get a blood panel done. And you can't run it through insurance because if we see something, I want to make sure we can do it in our way and not have the Western medicine forced upon us." And I didn't know what he saw. So we went to the live blood cell, and the lady was not so polite about what she saw. She was very blunt and she said, "Sarah, your son's got leukemia. And if you don't do something about this right now, we're going to have a serious issue on our hands." And I just started bawling. And Jackson, at that age, he just looks up at me. He's this old soul and he goes, "Mom, why are you crying? You're going to fix me." And I go, "You're right." So I at the time had my accelerated colloidal silver, which is our flagship product. That's all I had at the time. I didn't know anything about organic food. I didn't really, I was learning about Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine through my mentor, through my own experience and what I needed to take to help get my body back up and running. And that's pretty much what we put him on. And we didn't do anything else. And now I'm not saying that that's what I recommend for everybody else. That's what I chose to do. So over the next year, I saw my son coming back. I saw him wanting to not just go to practice, but he wanted baseball practice and swimming practice and all the things all in one day. And I was seeing him become better. And his teacher even said, she goes, I don't know who that kid was last semester, but this is your kid now, and his grades came up and he was feeling great and being a normal kid. But I didn't know anything. I didn't want to hold on to it or breathe until I saw the next live blood cell. And so we went back to that same lady that was very blunt, and she said, oh my goodness, not only do I not see any cancer cells, this is the most beautiful blood I've ever seen. She goes, whatever you're doing, Mom, keep doing it. And I started crying again and laughing and smiling. And Jackson looks at me and goes, I don't know why you're surprised. I knew you were going to fix me. And it was at that point that I knew I had a bigger calling in life and that I needed to do something with this, because I had my best friend just putting her daughter who had a simple cold on a steroid and an antibiotic. And I thought, there are options out here that we can use before we go into those medications. So I started my business just out of my house, a case of silver at a time. And then that progressed into a website and more products, more learning. The more I learned, the more I knew I didn't know, and the more I wanted to learn. Excuse me. And we just kept evolving and increasing the supplement line. And I always knew that God was using me and my family with our health challenges to come up with solutions that were going to help the world. And it's been like that for the last, what, 20 years, where, okay, the pandemic came. We need to now program our silver with certain frequencies that actually go, designed to fight a certain virus. We need to now, because of the pandemic, because of processed foods, people are accelerating their depletion of copper. And so we come up with the accelerated scalar copper. We are now seeing a huge uptick in hypothyroidism, 30% increase in hypothyroidism. That's diagnosed, and most people are walking around undiagnosed with hypothyroidism. And that's where we have the accelerated iodine and the accelerated thyroid that are good for everybody, not just physical health, but the mental health. The number one cause of depression and anxiety is iodine deficiency, and no psychiatrist is testing thyroid health. So that's number one. And still, you go to these functional doctors, and those very few doctors are testing the full thyroid panel. So I always start with that. Fatty liver disease has crept up to 50% of adults and 25% of children. We come up with the accelerated liver care, which ironically came out at the time that I was having my own crisis. This was, 2 years ago, where I was having parasites and my skin was itching. Then these worms were starting to come out of my skin. Thousands of worms were coming out of my skin. It was horrific. It was actually the most PTSD experience that I've ever experienced in my life. And when I got my liver test done, my blood labs, my liver enzymes were over 700 because my body was giving up. I was being taken over by these little buggers that just, they're the king of the kingdom. And the herbs were helping a little bit, but they weren't really knocking it out. Well, that was the exact time that accelerated liver care came out, and it knocked my liver enzymes down. by down to normal within just a couple weeks. And that is something that is just, it's one of my foundational products. I have put together protocols for practitioners and my customers where these are the foundation. And then let's play with the fat loss and all of the other things. Because a lot of times when you address thyroid and liver, the rest of the pieces fall in place. I just answered an email from a lady in menopause, works out, eats clean, no gluten, no dairy, doing all the right things, hits 45 years old, gains 30 pounds, not doing anything different. So what is that? Well, iodine has a huge impact on female hormones, perimenopause, menopause, even PMS. I've seen in my own family, my daughters who had normal menstrual cycles. Yeah, I need an Advil once in a while, and I'm going to go to school and go to practice. And after the pandemic, because of the spike protein and COVID, it disrupts the liver, and the liver is where your hormones are processed and regulated. Well, those period pain that went from a 3, like a normal woman, to a 12, where mom, I can't live like this, knock me out, put a feeding tube down me, I can't eat, I'm nauseous, I can't go to school, I can't go to practice. We had a summer where my daughter was in bed until we figured it out. And one doctor wanted to put her on progesterone or the birth control pill. We tried progesterone for 2 days and she felt worse. Why? Because where does your body process these hormones, these peptides, whatever you're throwing at it? Your liver. And her liver was hijacked. So we put her on a natural protocol, the accelerated silver, the accelerated liver care, accelerated iodine, because that manages the balance between estrogen and progesterone. And slowly she came back and she was able to, in the fall, be her normal self. She gained the weight back that she lost from not eating. She performed. She was part of the winning, the second in the nationals in that team of that year where they got second in the nationals. And she's all of 115 pounds. Her team averaged 130 pounds and they beat these girls that were 180 pounds. I mean, it was a phenomenal year. Now,
That's on the rowing team,
yes,
correct?
rowing team, yes. And the whole team was on the accelerated aminos. So the story behind that one, I love protein. I love eating protein. I'm an athlete. I love being athletic and move because now I've got energy. I've got to do something with it. And so I was taking the leading brand of essential amino acids before and after my workout. And I thought, why am I bloated? This supplement is supposed to have 0 calories, right? These are capsules. Well, a lot of supplements have fillers and ingredients or mold and bacteria that are allowed in them that your body's fighting against. So we came out with accelerated aminos, which is not just the essential amino acids, but it's got ingredients that actually prevent muscle loss, prevent breakdown, increase ATP production in the mitochondrial health, and actually have studies on ingredients that get rid of the zombie cells in the muscles. So for someone like me who's 50 years old, it's recycling the bad old muscle cells and giving me the muscle cells that my daughter has at the age of 19. So it's anti-aging. It also has ingredients to help heal the gut and increase the absorption of not just the essential amino acids, but all of your dietary intake. Because most people are walking around with leaky gut. So you have to address the gut. It doesn't matter what you eat if you're not absorbing it. So those are just a few of the examples. And then now as I'm 50, I'm sitting here going, I really don't want to do Botox. I don't want to do fillers. I don't want to do all of that stuff. So how am I going to stay looking young? How am I going to keep my hair? How am I going to, get rid of the wrinkles and actually still fight the teenage acne that I have at the age of 50? And that's where we came out with the accelerated biopeptides, which is an oral alternative to a lot of the injectable peptides. I'm not against peptides whatsoever, but a lot of the peptides have side effects. and they're signals to the body. That's like saying, okay, here's the blueprint for the house you want to build, and here's the hammer, but doing it without wood. You've got to have the foundation in place. And so the accelerated biopeptides is ingredients that are far superior than any collagen supplement on the market. It's collagen and elastin peptides, all different types with the from the very best source on earth. And then ingredients and cofactors that upregulate the ATP, increase the cellular turnover, turn your cells younger. And the testimonials I'm getting from people are crazy. Like the hair's growing like it's never grown before. They can't recognize their hands when they look down because they look younger. And oh, by the way, my arthritic pain is gone. So it also is an antihistamine supplement, which a lot of the peptides have a histamine response. Our histamine buckets are full. You scroll Instagram and you will see all of this stuff about histamine, anxiety at night, just bloating, just feeling icky. And people think, oh, well, I don't have histamine issues because I'm not sneezing. We call it sneezing on the inside, all of this stuff going on the inside. Well, that's because all of the things in modern day life are stacking up, and the bathtub is full of histamines, and your body can't handle that last little piece, whether it's a food you eat and you might think it's healthy when you're eating an avocado or a bone broth. Those are high histamine. Or you inject yourself with a peptide and you have welts and a rash. Those are histamine responses. The accelerated biopeptides actually complements those and those protocols because it lowers that histamine response. So as we've progressed as a company, it's just like, okay, what's the new issue that most people are fighting? And we match it with supplements. And the supplements that we create are a combination of old ancient wisdom of traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic herbs. And then we add in modern day nutraceuticals, the very best of the best, only ones that have no side effects and will benefit most people. And then we enhance it with scalar frequency on top of it. So it's a three-layer system. And if you have an energy field that is stressed, trauma, or you're in a negative space, a lot of supplements you throw at your body aren't going to work. And this is, a lot of the work that you do. And it's you add in the extra frequency and you're gonna get results. And I've seen in my own family, in my close friends, and from my customers, just the repeat buyers is far superior than most companies due to the fact that it works. And that's my goal. My goal here is to do my life's purpose and do God's work and always check in with myself that that is why I'm here. And I've really helped my family. My husband has had heart issues, and he's a 56-year-old man, so he has the typical male issues. And my two daughters, they didn't have cancer like my son, but one had learning issues in school when she was in elementary school, and she's at a top tier college, Boston University, rowing and getting good grades. My middle daughter had anemia, allergies, asthma. You could not get her to ride her bike around the block. She had no energy. She then was a rowing athlete at USC, which is she would tell me, she goes, Mom, we work out harder than the football team and the boys basketball team. So we have overcome a lot. My son, he got over the leukemia, and then he was feeling so great, and he was part of a national record holding rowing team. But that year, his heart was stopping. He was having to actually pound on his chest to get his heart to beat again. And we went to cardiologist after cardiologist, and they said his heart's fine. But what we didn't realize was he was not supplementing like an athlete when he was training like an extreme athlete. And his heart didn't have the electrolytes. And that's where we came out with the accelerated ancient salt, full of 62 minerals, no plastics, no bird droppings, no explosives, and that corrected it. So we have had to overcome a lot. And I just keep saying, okay, God, what's the next challenge? And every time I see a new challenge, I don't think of it as a bad thing. I always think of it as a learning lesson. And I know the journey's not over. I'm sure in a year I'll have another story. But yes, that's kind of my story, and I know the story's still unfolding.
I absolutely love your story and the passion behind it and what you've done. And, that's why we get along so well because we discovered through necessity. And I use accelerated health products every single day personally, and I recommend them every day in clinic to my patients. And we see wonderful, wonderful results with these products. The salt product I use every day, every meal. I put salt in my water, 3 pinches of salt in my liter of water, and then I drink a few liters a day. It's a game changer. Once I found your salt, that's how I was introduced to your product line. I was like, this is the best salt I've ever had, and I just used it. I bought the big jar, and
Yep,
we went through it so fast. I was like, wow, I've never had this much salt in my life, and it
I
didn't
know.
feel like I was doing anything outrageous because my body was being fed the electrolytes it needed through that.
Yeah.
It's such a game changer. And when we look at these issues, you and I have talked several times about different conditions and handling different patients. And I really appreciate how accessible you've been to my family, myself, and to my patients to get a health protocol and to get your food recommendations and all those things. Would you mind talking about that a little bit before we uh, get going on more stuff?
The food.
Your food recommendations and how people get a hold of you.
Yeah, you can email me directly through the website, acceleratedhealthproducts.com or sarabantahealth.com. Both websites reach me, and or you can just email me directly, Sarah at acceleratedhealthproducts.com. But there's a form on the website, the supplement protocol form. You can fill that out as well. Or email me. Either way works, and I will put together a protocol directly personalized for you. And it's very specific as far as not just the supplements, but the diet, and then also looking at stress and lifestyle things to change. And I never want people to think that they have to do everything all at once. I want to make sure that I meet them where they are and what their tolerance is. Some people are on zero supplements and just starting one or two is a lot. Some people are taking 30 supplements and they're backfiring and they don't know what's working and what's not. So I will also say, well, send me a list of your supplements and I'll tell you what you don't need, what we can swap out, and what's actually hurting you and what to keep and work with you as far as what you're already doing. It's like with I have a lot of people coming to me that are on peptide protocols or GLPs and they're afraid to stop, right? They don't want that weight to come back because weight does come back 4 times faster than if you just lost weight with diet alone. So we have an off ramp of how to do that. You want the accelerated iodine, the accelerated thyroid, accelerated liver care, which you want all of those when you are on a GLP 1, 2, or 3. Doesn't matter because those GLPs are not addressing your thyroid and your metabolism or your fatty liver that the reason you came to a GLP is because you have a slow metabolism and your liver is backed up. So those are 3 foundational supplements that you take while you're on a GLP. But the off ramp or an alternative for those thinking, I really want to lose weight, but I don't want to take the GLP is the accelerated fast. That suppresses appetite. It upregulates your metabolism, unlike a GLP, and it is something that you can take daily. I don't need to lose weight, but I take it daily in the morning so I can have a fasted workout. It prevents muscle loss and it burns fat and gives you amazing mental clarity as well. So you have more energy during your workout to do. So that's just an example of a supplement protocol. But then when you look at foods, so I've put together the accelerated food guide. It's free on my website. And a lot of the people listening here are trying to do the right things and they're eating, they're taking probiotics. They're having sauerkraut or kimchi or fermented foods. They're having bone broth, the avocados, bananas in their smoothies. They're starting their day out with a smoothie full of berries and maybe chia seeds and hemp seeds, and they're thinking, well, I'm doing this. This is healthy. That is a bomb of oxalates and sulfur that is backing up your liver, slowing down your thyroid, causing brain fog, causing a histamine response, and you don't understand why you feel awful. So I also love to say, okay, tell me what your daily diet looks like. Most people eat the same foods at least for breakfast and lunch. Maybe dinner's a variety a little bit. Or moms that are running from practice to school and they're eating out of the car. What does their protein bar look like? I have yet to find a protein bar that doesn't make me bloated. And I want to find one. That is maybe a future AHP product, but so I give you ideas for hacks of how to change your eating routine on the regular. And can you still go out to dinner and have a cheat meal and have a glass of wine? Yes, I'm not taking life away from you. And it also depends on your current state of health. Now, I also recommend people stay away from chicken and turkey and pork and conventional beef as much as they can. Those foods contain amyloid proteins. It's not the chicken's fault. It's not the cow's fault. It's the crowded environments and then layered in COVID and the spike protein. These amyloid proteins that you're taking in, when you look at the chicken package and it says 40 grams of protein, oh, well, I just got 40 grams of protein. That 40 grams of protein didn't get broken down and used in your body. It actually got deposited in your brain and your tissues as these amyloids that could cause Alzheimer's, dementia, and disrupt your gut and feed the E. coli and salmonella and cause the bloat. Even though chicken is supposed to not cause bloat. People on carnivores, I've got a huge following that are carnivore ketogenic eaters, and they don't understand why they lost a ton of weight in the first 6 months and now they plateaued and maybe even gained weight. So there's a lot going on there. And same with vegans. You feel great for 6 months and then the nutrient, you know, issues because you're not getting all the nutrients in, they start feeling worse and then they gain the weight again. You're going to get your green drink every morning and it's full of spinach and celery juice and then berries maybe. Well, spinach is very high in oxalate, right? Oh, and then maybe you will throw in some almond butter. Almonds are just as high, or almonds and spinach are the worst in oxalates. And most nuts have oxalates. Macadamia nuts and pili nuts, probably your best source if you need to eat nuts. Now, I don't recommend nuts for most people unless you want to gain weight. They are made in nature to fatten up the squirrels before they have to hibernate and go through a famine. So there are certain foods that, oh, well, they have no sugar, so I should eat them. They're ketogenic, so they're good for me. Not necessarily. Now, remember, most people have fatty liver disease. Where do we digest fat? In the liver. So a lot of people are on a high fat diet and it backfires. Very few people out there can do a proper high fat diet and do it well. So that's where you take the accelerated liver care. You go through my accelerated liver detox cleanse, flush out in the toilet thousands of gallstones, and then maybe we can actually digest fat and use that fat for energy. So most people can't handle that unless they do proper liver cleansing, which is super easy. It's not scary. I do them all the time and I coach people through them all the time. So I'm here to hold your hand as you're doing all of these protocols. but it's, fatty liver disease, low energy, low metabolism, brain fog, anxiety, depression. These are the big things that most people are suffering from, weight gain out of nowhere. And that is my biggest focus. But you've got to give the body the foundation before you throw in GLPs or peptide protocols to build muscle and lose fat and get more energy. You've got to give your body the foundational nutrients.
Absolutely amazing. And for everybody who's new to hearing about Sarah, she's going to be at our homecoming event October 23rd, 24th, and 25th in Costa Mesa, California. Honored to have her there. She's going to be presenting a little bit about her product line and sharing these amazing protocols that she's developed over many years of experience and personal experience. I'm so excited to learn more from you, Sarah. Every time I talk to you, I learn something new, and I want to learn more about your liver flush concept. But I'll say that every patient, I should say, most patients come in, they have serious gut issues, and that's just like the big red flag that's in front of all their other problems. Could you speak to that for doctors that may be new to handling this? What's the actual issue there, and how do they approach this?
Well, we have leaky gut because of medications, stress. Stress can cause leaky gut. High cortisol can. And the processed food. One processed food meal, one processed food, even that protein bar that is high protein, low carb is processed. So if it's in a package, it's processed. That whey protein shake, that's processed. Even these healthy foods. So unless you're eating whole foods, and I always steer people to the accelerated food guide for the right vegetables, the right fruits, even the right grains. I'm not against grains or carbohydrates. I actually am not on a low carb diet. I love my fruit and I love my carbs that are my body likes to work with. And then I tend to use wild animal protein, bison, elk, venison, wild fish, very important where we're getting our food from, more important than ever before because our food system has been hijacked. And we have glyphosate. It causes leaky gut. Even our organic crops are being oversprayed with glyphosate. And it looks like the government's not going to do anything about it anytime soon, even with the MAHA movement, unfortunately. So we are in this world where we also have microplastics. Our vegetables, our organic vegetables are wrapped in plastic. We can't get away from it. We've got plastic in our water. I've got an amazing alkaline water machine and filter on my system, but guess what? That's coming through a plastic filter. Our pipes are now plastic. They're not copper anymore. We are drinking plastic. And I'm trying to do everything I can in the most perfect way, and I'm still taking it in my body. So what do? I use, the accelerated liver care is a gut supplement as well. So it's opening the detox pathways. It's helping absorb the excess estrogen that so many people are suffering from, right? And then you use the accelerated cellular detox powder to soak up all those toxins that your body's kicking out, and it helps heal the gut, give you a good amount of insoluble and soluble fiber for bowel movements, but it's soaking all those toxins up so they don't recycle. Now, constipation, number one issue. Most women suffer from constipation. It's a common conversation with me and my girlfriends. Did you poop today? Did you poop today? Because just like when you look at a baby and you go, the doctor says, is the baby pooping 3 times a day or every time you eat? That's what our body's supposed to do. And if you're not getting those toxins out. So that's number one. And if you are not pooping right daily, at least twice a day, the accelerated cellular detox powder and accelerated liver care help with that. The liver care increases the bile, which is the detergent to get those toxins out. It will also help with motility. And then the detox powder reduces inflammation in the gut, helps with bloat, and gets everything out. So that's the basis. Now, if you still have gut issues for digestion, if you're bloated every time you eat, that's where I like to lean into a supplement called HCl Guard. It's just an HCl, which helps unravel the proteins and protein digestion. Most people with acid reflux or gut issues don't have enough stomach acid. Everyone thinks it's too much acid. It's actually too little. So you add in the supplement. What's so great about that supplement is it tells you if you need it or not. My daughter, as a funny story, she was having a major inflammation in her gut and nauseous when she was eating, and it was hormonally driven. And I said, well, maybe you need more stomach acid. So I gave her one of the HCLs. She goes, oh my God, my stomach's burning. Why did you do this to me? I said, well, obviously, okay, you don't need it. So that's a sign where if it burns a little bit, that means you have plenty of stomach acid. But if you pop a pill and you don't feel anything, you need to pop two pills. And if you still don't feel anything, you increase it until you get to that point where it's a little warm feeling in your gut, and that means that you can back off on your dosage. But you take those with your meals. And then also there's a couple supplements on my website. Magnesium Breakthrough is a very gentle way to increase motility. A supplement called Motility actually gets those muscles working again if you've been on laxatives all your life. This one is more of a long term. I'm going to take your colon and take it to the gym and strengthen it and get it back to working. So a lot of people then are able to get off their laxatives. There's a supplement called Laxa Comfort that is very strong for those people that cannot go to the bathroom without any help. So there's different options, and I have a whole gut protocol there as well. So enzymes, most people do need enzymes. There's a Holozyme supplement on my website as well that can be very helpful as well, depending on what your diet is. So that is, and then for the leaky gut part, I like the Microbiome Lab supplements, the Mega Spore. It's a spore biotic, so it goes down in there, survives the stomach acid, unlike most probiotics. And by the way, probiotics are high histamine. So you could be taking something for your gut and it's making you more bloated. That's where the sauerkraut and the kimchi could be backfiring. The kombucha that you love and you think it's so good for you, that could be, it's very high histamine. It could be making your bloating worse. So you want to take a spore biotic that goes down in there and it actually says, hey, you need this, this, and that, but not more of this. And by the way, Dr. Gonzalez needs a whole different set, and we're going to give him something different than you, Sarah. So it actually has a brain, goes down in there, and does the work it needs to do. So I use that and the Mega Pre and the Mega Mucosa together. Now, the accelerated fast is great because it is helping you intermittent fast for a few hours and extending that fast, but you're teaching your body to burn fat. So just the time away from not eating is giving your gut time to repair. Because we are going to all eat things that are causing leaky gut, like I said, but we want to make our gut more resilient. And when your gut's more resilient, it affects your brain, it affects your energy, affects your hormones, but it does start in the liver. Digestion starts in the liver, and that is why the accelerated liver care and the accelerated cellular detox powder are the foundation of gut health.
I love it. And you and I have spoken several times about the ketosis diet and carnivore, and it's very popular. I've personally done it several times. I've lost a good amount of weight doing ketosis and measuring my blood for glucose and ketones, and that's the way I recommend doing it if you choose to go in that direction. What are people getting wrong in that model of thinking? Could you talk about that, please?
Well, like I said, the you're throwing in high fat foods to support your intermittent fasting and your ketones. You don't want to just chase ketones. I was measuring my ketones, and it wasn't 100% reflective of the success I was experiencing and how I felt. So accelerated fast has BHB in it. So it's got ketones. So it kicks you into ketosis. So you're in this state of ketosis. You're experiencing the autophagy and the mitophagy, the recycling of old cells. And but it's also got ingredients in there that teach your liver to burn its own fat and create its own ketones. So it actually teaches your liver to make more ketones. You feel it. You feel it in your brain. You feel the appetite suppressant. So what I like to do is stay in ketosis until my first meal. And usually my first meal is around, I don't know, 10 to 12 in the morning, late morning. And then I support that with leaner protein, and I'll measure my blood sugar and I'll measure my fat burning, and it keeps me in a state of ketosis. So I'll have that first meal of wild fish or venison or bison, and then that keeps me steady. And then for dinner, I incorporate my carbs if I want them. And so that keeps you metabolically flexible. When you are 100% low fat or low carb and more ketogenic, your body forgets to know how to actually burn carbs. So then you even look at a strawberry and you gain weight. We don't want that. We want to stay in that metabolically flexible state where we can still lose weight and actually enjoy some good carbs and good food. The carbs can help with sleep, and it's not all about being perfect and low carb and keeping those carbs under 20 grams a day. That can backfire. You can plateau. So that's where the accelerated fast comes in. It takes you into ketosis, keeps you there as you're supporting it with a low carb meal. And then, oh, by the way, I'm going to now have some vegetables on my plate, maybe some little sweet potato, maybe some fruit, watermelon or cherries, or some mango even after dinner as sweet treat. And then you also don't feel deprived, right? But you stick to whole foods and you don't go crazy with calories. I remember when the ketogenic diet came out and people were eating bags of nuts and bags of just high fat treats, these ketogenic little brownies or whatever. Oh, I can eat as many as I want because it's keto. No, you can't. A calorie is a calorie. Not all calories are the same, but the great thing about protein, and this is a very interesting fact, protein has a thermogenic effect that the other foods don't. So when you eat protein, you burn about 30% of those calories just through digestion. Fat and carbs is more like 5%. Alcohol, forget it. Alcohol shunts down your fat burning in multiple ways, increases estrogen, causes leaky gut, and a whole bunch of issues. So if you're on a weight loss journey and you're trying to do everything right, the first thing to get rid of is alcohol. I'm just the messenger, don't kill me. But it's true. And so that's number one. But the key about protein and why these diets work for so many people, high protein carnivore diets, is that there's a hormone that gets triggered when you eat protein. It's called CCK, and it's in your gut, and it goes to your brain and says, "Oh, I got enough nutrients. I'm not hungry anymore. The cravings are gone." That's why you sit down and you can't eat three ribeye steaks, but then you have a bite of Ben and Jerry's and you think I can eat the whole carton because then that sugar and fat and salt combination in processed foods, they're not stupid. These companies that create these foods, it's like this, it's like cocaine. It's lighting up the part of your brain that cocaine would light up saying, I want more. Protein doesn't do that. Protein is actually animal protein, I should say, is telling your brain, I'm not only just getting protein, I'm getting vitamin Bs, I'm getting my iron, my copper, and all the nutrients that my body needs. So I can actually stop eating, which is beautiful. Now, a high fat diet, if you eat a high fat meal and you're a little nauseous, that's your liver saying, hey, I can't handle it. That's where the accelerated liver care comes in, and you want to make sure you're supporting your thyroid health and your metabolism because the whole idea, you're probably doing this diet because you want to lose weight or change your body composition. And anyone on a weight loss journey, I highly, highly recommend throwing away your bathroom scale and getting something like the Hume Body Pod. And I can send you the link to that. And there's 20% off with my link, but it measures your water, your extracellular water, intracellular water, your muscle mass in your right arm versus your left arm, and my fat. Where's the fat? Is it on my gut or is it in my legs? Where is it? And where is it going down? And am I able to maintain my muscle while I'm trying to lose fat? So that gives you a real good feedback as far as, am I dehydrated? Am I not having enough salt in my body? Especially for those on GLPs where you see a lot of the weight loss is coming from muscle.
Such a wealth of information Sarah has on these topics, and I've fallen into every trap that she mentioned, from the oxalates to the almonds to the spinach and all these things that we were taught are are healthy for us, but they have problems. It's not bad to have one meal with a little bit of spinach, but when you're making smoothies every day with almond milk and spinach, you're setting yourself up for kidney stones and other issues. Uh,
Yeah.
there's so many things that we could talk about. I have You mentioned your own son's blood issues, and I have patients today that are dealing with cancer diagnoses and stuff like that. How should doctors be thinking of that kind of diagnosis when they're dealing with those patients? First
Yeah.
time they come in, what do you recommend that they start looking at?
Well, I want to be very clear. I'm no one's doctor. I'm not a doctor. So what I will tell you is what I would do is that if I had cancer myself, number one, breast cancer patients are most always iodine deficient. The breast tissue has a lot of iodine receptor sites, and most of those receptor sites are filled with bromide, chlorine, and fluoride, right? Those are the halogens that look like iodine and will fill those receptor sites in every cell of your body if you don't fill them with iodine. So high dosing iodine. And Dr. Brownstein, he is the OG of iodine, and he's high dosing his patients with iodine, even his patients with Hashimoto's. And iodine is a very controversial topic when you talk about Hashimoto's. So iodine is not just for the thyroid. It is the 4 and 3 and the T4 and T3 molecules of iodine. Iodine was used as an antiviral, antibacterial agent before antibiotics came around. It is antipathogenic. It cleans the blood so the liver can do its job. It's actually balancing out the estrogen dominance in a body. So iodine is needed for that cell membrane. So when I saw my son's blood underneath the microscope, his cells were all clumped together and they were all rigid. When we retested him, the cells were separate and they were flexible. Now, you want a flexible cell membrane, which is the brain of the cell. What makes up that cell membrane? Fat and iodine. It has an iodolipid value. You can't have a flexible cell membrane if you don't have enough iodine to make the cells feel safe to allow the toxins out of the cells and the nutrients in. It Your cellular health doesn't change if it doesn't matter what you're eating if it won't get in. And you're not going to lose weight if your fat cells don't feel safe to allow the toxins out. Now, mind you, when you're losing a ton of weight and a ton of fat, you're also releasing a whole bunch of toxins that have to go through the liver. So that's why the liver support's super important. So if I had that situation for myself, accelerating iodine is number one. Number two, accelerated silver. You are boosting your immune system. The body's a miracle. These cancer cells are not the strong cells in the body. They're weak, but your immune system's weak and not fighting the cancer cells. So you want to upregulate your immune system. Accelerated silver. Accelerated liver care. You've got to address the liver health and your detox pathways, because why are the cancer rates going up? Spike protein, toxins, endocrine disruptors, iodine deficiency, microplastics, all of these things are causing the cancer rates and the disease rates, autoimmune issues to spike. So you've got to address the liver and you have to address the detox. So the accelerated detox powder soaking everything up. So that is the foundation of what I would do. And then as far as diet, whole foods, accelerated food guide. That's what I would do. Accelerated fast to help with the appetite control. I actually have a dear friend that has a brain tumor. And ironically, the doctor put him on a GLP low dose to cut his new food noise down and reduce inflammation. Well, why? Because sugar and crap food feeds the cancer. So you use the accelerated fast to get into a state of ketosis, upregulate the autophagy, then you are going to see a benefit. One more thing about the accelerated iodine that I forgot. So the spike protein shuts down the P53 gene, which is the gene that says, hey, I see a cancer cell over there. We need to go address it. Or I see a disease cell. We're gonna address it. When that's suppressed, there's no surveillance. So you've got these cancer cells multiplying, multiplying, multiplying. That's why the cancer rates have skyrocketed since the pandemic. Iodine turns that P53 gene back on. So it increases apoptosis, it increases the ATP to the full 36 instead of just a 2, which is where the cancer cells are thriving. So you're upregulating mitochondrial health. And when your mitochondria die, you die. So we need to do everything we can to boost that mitochondrial health. So iodine, accelerated silver, accelerated liver care, accelerated cellular detox powder, accelerated fast to help with the autophagy, the appetite suppressant, and keeping you in that intermittent fasting state for as long as you want to help with any gut issues and help your strengthen your immune system.
I absolutely love the suggestions, and like you said, we're not your doctor. We're just talking about strategies for helping people think differently when it comes to these issues. And more of this with Sarah at the Quantum Neurology Homecoming event, October 23rd, 24th, 25th in Costa Mesa, California. We look forward to having as many doctors there as possible and doctors with their guests as well. We have so much more we could talk about, and I'd love to keep Sarah all day long. And I'm gonna reserve the right to have more conversations with you, Sarah. And we have products that you have that we didn't even get to mention. You have a copper product, a gold product. You have a I forgot radiation.
Yes.
I don't know how to describe it properly, but all these things are amazing for helping people with cognitive, skin, hair, being able to detoxify the body. So powerful to have Sarah on our team. Thank you so much, Sarah, for being with us and sharing your amazing stories and hope for people to get well using your amazing products. And is there any final words that you have?
I would just say your body's a miracle and it can reverse any damage that's been done. I was feeding my son microwavable corn dogs. I was microwaving breast milk. I was doing all the wrong things. And he is the healthiest 23-year-old I know. He can't just go surfing. He's got to go on a mountain bike ride and go to the gym on all the same day. But he doesn't take his health for granted. He eats the way that I've taught him to eat, and he takes his supplements and he does all the things. So there's always hope. And reach out to me, whether you're a practitioner or a customer. I'm happy to put together supplement protocols for you. If you want to carry the supplements in your practice, that is obviously an opportunity as well. And we are formalizing our practitioner hub for more detailed information very, very soon. So super excited about that.
Could you talk about your podcast, please, for people who want to learn more?
You can find my podcast on any podcast outlet, Accelerated Health with Sara Banta, and I do 4 podcasts a week, trending topics of that week, what's in the news, and what my approach is, or is it a myth? Is it real? I do a solo podcast once a week that is more in depth, and then I also have guests like Dr. Gonzalez on once a week as well.
I love it. Thank you so much, Sarah. I look forward to our continued conversations, and I love being able to share you with our community so that they can learn about accelerated health products and the amazing results that I've been seeing personally, as well as for my patients, and to be continued.
Thank you so much for having me.